Welcome back, folks, to another episode of Rudy Buys Out an Evil Investor, and we share the spoils of war. You know, I'll be honest with you, this is a really nice binder. Like, this is a little, like, it's very rare. I'm not really big into accessories or anything, but this is a really nice Wizards of the Coast Magic official stitched binder. Little logos. I'm like, yeah, you know, I almost feel like the professor reviewing. I mean, this is, Ultra Pro. I'm not sponsored. I don't get any tendies, but honestly, you guys did a really nice job on the binder, man. Like, it just, sometimes you gotta give respect and credit where credit's due. So, ladies and gentlemen, today we have the story of an evil investor who accumulated and bought out the 7th edition foil version of Oppression. Now, fun fact, let's remind everybody, this is the first core set to ever have foils. 7th edition foils are black bordered, while the entire set is white bordered, giving them a very unique thing. Of course, Shooting Star, very first version of foils in a basic set. I can't emphasize that enough. On top of that, foils were very, very rare back then, okay? There were not a lot. It was you only got one foil rare per box, okay? You get a couple foil uncommons, and then a couple more foil commons per booster box. Like, the odds of even getting a second foil rare in a box is extraordinarily low. Somebody told me a long time ago that 7th edition foil rares were inserted in one in every like 35 booster packs. So technically, every 36 sealed boxes of 7th edition, the 36th box has the probability of having a second foil rare, where one would be like the beginning of the box and one at the end, because it's technically 1 in 35 packs. I can't remember plus or minus the variance. That's what I remember a long time ago. Now, I normally don't really seek out or do transactions with foils in general, unless it's specifically from the Vault cards, because they're so sensitive and it's such a weird item in the Magic history, and obviously a discontinued product line. Or if it's something very bizarre, like, you know, Urza's foils from the very beginning, or the only core set of foils that I ever care about, 7th edition foils. Now, this individual bought these many years ago, and, you know, even the price I paid him, well, he did very, very well. And 7th edition foils are a weird thing. So I wanted to add the Oppression foil rares to my position. There's a lot of estimations on how many foil rares exist in 7th edition, and many people estimate that the quantity of foil rares in 7th edition are equivalent to the alpha. Like in other words, there's like 1,000 potential in existence. There's many people that believe the quantity of these is equivalent to essentially the same thing as an alpha rare. That's kind of, and there's no proof. Some people say it's a beta, you know, 3,000, 2,000. That's a very big thing. And my personal opinion, the reason I'm willing to put money into this and continue to go after these cards, is because I actually don't even think there's 1,000. 7th edition was during the 2000s and during the lull of when Magic was dying for whatever, the 5th time or something like that. Core set, you know, 6th edition, 7th edition, and 8th edition core sets did not sell well. There were not huge print runs to these products, okay? I mean, there were no massive waves of restocks and print to demand, and that didn't exist during the Silver Age. You know, I don't even know. What's the year on these? What's the exact year these were printed? Was it 99? 2000? Oh, 2001. I'm sorry, I kept thinking it was like 99, 2000. I guess 99 was it? Was 99 Urza's or Mercadian Mass? Anyways, so yeah, did I get them all out of here? Okay, actually, yeah. I mean, I know the binder's not worth a ton of money. I actually thought it was actually kind of a nice binder, and it was actually kind of worthy of a bit of a conversation there. So, I wanted to share these particular cards. Not a huge position, as I've done videos on in the past. So, as of the filming of this video, it's increased my position to the world's largest position in 7th edition Oppression foils. I also own the majority of the market in 7th edition. Here, actually, you know what? I'll show you. Many of you OG old people will remember this old video in this stuff, but in July of 2020, I also bought another deal with an investor where I bought all the Equilibrium 7th edition rares. an absolute ton of these things, okay? So if those of you weren't around the channel a very, very long time, the Final Fortune card and the Equilibrium card were the cards that I bought a tremendous position of, where I bought out all of them. Well, I didn't buy them out. An investor sold them out to me. So Equilibrium, I have them kind of flip-flopped in based on near mint, light played kind of thing. So I have them all kind of here. Hold on a second. Sorry, this isn't the best. I should have prepared this a little better, but here you guys go. I'll flip them over and show you. So I bought all the 7th edition Equilibrium foil rares, essentially all of them. Absolutely, an absolute boatload of these things, okay? And then on top of that, actually even a couple of them were actually signed. I don't know if you guys see that. Final Fortune was the other 7th edition rare that I kind of backed the truck up on. So we also have a massive position of even some non-English there, an absolute massive position in foil 7th edition Final Fortunes. Absolute massive position. And I will show you guys. It's kind of, I'll just flip them over. It doesn't really matter. But just to kind of share everything with you guys, some of the history of 7th edition foil rares from the past. Now, when I did this transaction, it was June of 2020. So if you weren't aware of what was going on in June of 2020, let me refresh your memory. You can't put bleach on a Black Lotus to save your cards from the virus. People thought the world was ending. Buy lists were turned off. And people literally thought that was it. Good run, everybody. We enjoyed mankind. And I was the only complete moron laughingstock of the Magic world that said, I want to just dump all my money into Magic cards in 2020. And I went down kind of in infamy on that whole era. The 7th edition foil. So as you can see, what's happening is as the weeks and months and years are going by, I've been expanding into large positions from different investors who own these blocks of 7th edition foil rares. And 7th edition foil rares is something that I am interested in. It's very difficult. If you just have one or two, hey, good for you. And again, everything you see in this video is not for sale. I appreciate the offers and everything. I'm not selling anything. I just want to share that that is a special moment in Magic's history. And I do believe 7th edition foil rares are going to continue to perform. I actually believe that 7th edition foil rares across the board, majority of them are going to be $500 to $1,000 plus a card because they are just so rare. This was when a foil pull and getting a foil rare was truly a spectacular moment. And again, even the Urz's era, a foil Grim Monolith being $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 depending on condition or grade, is worth that much because it truly is a special thing. It was back when foils were special. It was back when the market treated them as truly a special moment. So as today's video concludes, I've expanded to a third 7th edition foil rare. So we've expanded from the Final Fortune cornering the market, the Equilibrium cornering of the market, and now we're adding Oppression to the 7th edition cornering the market into the Rudy Volts to never be seen again type of attitude. Now, obviously there's some extraordinarily special cards in 7th edition foil rares, of which obviously Birds of Paradise is historically the most sought after insane 7th edition foil rare you can get. I have not been able to locate anybody who actually has more than even 4. The most I've even seen is somebody with like 4 to 6 copies of foil Birds of Paradise 7th edition. I have never been able to locate anyone who supposedly has 50 or 100 plus copies. I don't even know if it exists at this point in time. But in my opinion, most of these 7th edition foil rares don't exist anymore. I do not believe there are even 1,000 copies of foil rares from 7th edition. And I'd be willing to take it a step further, and I'd be willing to balls deep it and double down. I don't even believe there are 400 to 500 copies of most 7th edition foil rares in existence. Now, when I say in existence and left, I mean, if it's heavy play damage and worn and faded where you can't even tell, I don't really count that. Because it needs to be, I'm talking where it's actually like light played or above, recognized, even MP, even just full-blown, moderately played. Just, in other words, where the integrity of the card is still desirable. It doesn't have to be gem mint, no clouding at the surface, perfectly, never been touched by oils on the hands and everything. I'm just saying overall, like even oppression. Like you can pause the video. I know we're 10 minutes and no one's watching. This is a pretty aggressive piece of art, and it's a very special card from a special era. And I can tell you all right now, pause the video. Go on eBay. Go on TCG Player. Go ahead. Type in 7th edition. Hit foil oppression. Press enter. Look what's out there. And you want to tell me that there's 500 to even 1,000 left? Most of these websites, if they have 2, 3, 4 copies for sale, that's impressive. It's just the supply just isn't there. I mean, there are some 7th edition foil rares that have 0 listed on the open market. Some are 1. Some of these cards, I mean, there are more alpha rares available on the open market on certain cards than there are 7th edition foil rares. That is how extremely rare and special these cards are. And, it's just something that it's kind of a side project. It's not something I really seek out, but it's just something that when people approach me, hey, Rudy, I've invested in collecting 7th edition foil rares. I bought a bunch of these for $10, $20 a piece. I'm looking, will you give me $150, $200 a card? Hey, you know what? Let's work something out. Because friendly reminder, and you'll find the hard way out, if you corner a market on a weird card or a reserve list card, and you get 150 copies of some silly reserve list card from, I don't know, Tempest, and you go to a buy list, like, oh, Rudy, Card Kingdom and Channel Snowballs and Star City Castles, they're paying $50 a card. So Rudy, will you give me $50 times 200 copies? You need to understand, these stores, most of them, and I think actually Card Kingdom and some of these have like actually a quantity that they'll buy, like a max quantity, and usually the very obscure cards will be like a 2 or 4 or 8. If you have 100, 200 copies of something, yeah, you can sell to these guys. They'll give you $50 a card, and then after you sell them 4 or 8 copies, when they update that buy list, it's going to go from $50 a piece to $30, $40 a piece. If you sell them again, it's going to go to $20. They have algorithms and things in place that after you sell a certain quantity, or usually a play set or 4, 8, or whatever obscure card it is, the price will ratchet downwards to adjust for supply and demand of their inventory. And that's just the way the system works. Nothing against you or the card. That's just the way that large companies work because they're not in the business that I'm in, which is hoarding very unique pieces of historical histories and fancy words. And I'm in the business of hoarding things in the Rudy vault and literally just being buried with it and not caring. These other guys are in the business of just flipping cards and just whatever they get, churn and burn. So understand, I'm one of the only people that you can contact that says, hey, I got 200 copies of a 7th edition foil rare. I want $100 a piece. So I want 20 grand for 200 copies or something, and you know what? Step into the office. Let's work on this, that kind of thing. I don't really care. So that's one of the reasons you guys see on this channel many times over. You see a lot of obscure, Alpha Investments buys out evil investor on, metal workers and second chance and equilibriums and final fortunes and kaleidoscopes and these weird reserve list cards. The Golgathian Silex. What was that card from years ago? Was that Antiquities? I remember, was it a couple hundred copies for $5 or something? But, because I have the ability to wait. And one of my strongest, traits, attributes of doing this is I have more patience than anybody. I'm in my mid-30s. I try to take care of myself. I want to be around for the future, family, kids, and everything. And I'm in it for the long haul. And even if a product stays flat for years, even if I buy a 7th edition, when I bought these, and I bought the market on these, I didn't expect them to even really go up or do much for years. I just thought it was a good place to park money and deal with it into the future. I didn't realize in the middle of 2020 when I did that deal that here we would be 24 months later and these suckers would be like $500 a card. When I was buying these for $50, when I was buying Final Fortunes for $50, $60 a card a couple of years ago in the middle of a pandemic and everybody just laughed at me, I said, these are probably going to be $100. I didn't imagine I'd be doing another one on another card in 7th edition. And I'd be telling you, by the way, my price target of 100 ended up being 500. And now my price target is 1,000. Bizarre Baghdad 2.0 type of situation. And that's the funny thing about life. In that no matter who you are, how much experience you have in anything, you can't predict the future. I can't. You can't. None of us can. And 2020 proved that. Trying to predict the future is a loser's game. It's a Timmy game. It's a chessboard that's designed with you at a disadvantage where the house is always going to win. And the only way to play the long game and survive to fight another day is to diversify, shed the bad debt, build a strong foundation in your life, and push forward and be very evasive and willing to evolve. Admit when you're wrong, admit when you get the price target wrong. And there are products you're going to buy and collectibles you're going to buy and boxes or cards or reserve list cards that aren't going to do anything. They aren't going to go up. They could go down. You will lose money. And the sooner you can come to terms with this is the way the system functions, you're going to learn to be better with yourself and the people around you, and you'll do a better job. And that's really the key concept to all this. I've told you guys many times, I have no problems losing money, being wrong. You know, the old Rudy, oh, got that one wrong, screwed that up. It happens. It happens. That's okay. You know, it is only in modern social media times that you're not allowed to be wrong or admit you got something wrong or defeat or a screw up. It's only in modern times that's become a taboo thing. Because quite frankly, I don't want to meet the guy and do business with the person that's never been wrong. Because that scares me. That tells me they've never taken any chances. That tells me they're never going to get anywhere in life because they're so scared they have analysis paralysis and they will be a Timmy for life running in the hamster wheel. And for me, that's a no-go, man. That's a no bueno. That's no good. You need to fail. You need to learn how you handle failure. You need to learn what it feels like to go through it. And you need to learn and understand who you are to move forward into the battle of the cardboard world, the real estate world, the crypto world, the stock and equity world, the debt world, anything. It's all the same principles with a different commodity. And that is very important, everybody.